Hello everyone, and welcome back to Whisky Wednesday. Today we are, well, big shoes to fill. Kilkerran Batch 5. Now, I purchased this from Royal Mile Whiskies, and excluding shipping it cost me £46 for a Cask Strength, heavily peated, non-chill filtered, natural colour whiskey. Genuinely unsure how anyone makes money on that, but nonetheless they have done it. Obviously, you will all be aware of, if I can grab him, batch 4. This is batch 4 here. This comes in at 58.6, whereas batch 5 comes in at 57.7. Batch 5 is 85% ex-American oak or ex-bourbon oak and 15% ex-sherry. Oddly enough, I have not rewatched my own video on batch 4, so I can't remember the exact cask makeup of this. I think it was slightly more sherry influenced, if memory serves me correctly. And I believe they're both peated to around the 80 ppm mark. But by all means, the link to the batch 4 video is below. If you haven't seen it already, very popular video, very popular whiskey. But it makes sense to get batch 5 and try batch 5 against it. Excuse me. I've eaten loads of sugar today, so I'm super phlegmy. Not that you needed to know that. Here we go. It's in the glass. If we compare them just on colour, batch 5 is in the glass, batch 4 is in the bottle. In the bottle, batch 4 comes across as a little bit darker, if we do them both. The light in here isn't great, so I do apologise, and I am wearing quite a dark jumper. I'm trying to move out the way there. But you see, batch 4 does come across as a little bit darker, I would say. Just a bit. There's probably a lot of noise happening. I do apologise about that. But smell, taste, and the big question is it as good as batch 4? Because I gave batch 4 a 10. I've only given 2 10s this year. Batch 4 was one of them. But let's smell, let's taste, let's have a grand old time with Kilkerran batch 5. Okay. When I first opened this and when it first arrived, I was instantly not as impressed. Which isn't a bad thing because batch 4 was so good. It's not a bad thing to be a little bit let down by that. Nothing can always live up to those ridiculous expectations. But it came across as like a little bit hotter and a little bit more two-dimensional. That has been open, I mean it's 2022 now, so that's been open for nearly 6 weeks. And it's coming across as significantly saltier. Much more maritime. I remember the nose on batch 4, it came across as still peated and salty, but it had a Madeira, like vanilla quality to it. It was so vanillaed and sweet and sponge cakey. Whereas this just kind of throws you into like Talisker territory. There's a slight breadiness to it, like a bakery sort of, but not sweet like cakes. It's more like homemade bread and doughs and things like that. Bit of yeast. And there's also like an element of sweetness too, but it's almost like a lavendery sort of Parma violet candy taste, smell. The booze isn't coming across too like huge, even though we're getting through like the Christmas period. I've not actually drank that much alcohol at all. I think combining New Year's Eve and Christmas Day, I probably only had maybe like bottle of champagne, bottle of wine, only like 2 whiskies and 1 cocktail. So I've been quite well behaved this year. But even with that, the alcohol isn't particularly abrasive. Given everything I've said, on that smell, there is almost like an iced, like a ring donut that's covered in like icing. There is a small bit of sweetness trying to creep its way through. Yeah. Salty, iced donuts with Parma violets and freshly made bread. Obviously there's smoke, but it comes across more as salt. It is a heavily peated whiskey, but it comes across more as salt. This isn't Ardbeg or Lagavulin. It's significantly more coastal. Not even like heavily peated Bunnahabhain. It's totally different again. It's not even like Springbank. It's not like Longrow at all. Well, taste. Okay, so the first taste is banana. Loads of like woody, kind of underripe green banana. You know, you bite into it and it's still a bit kind of barky and woody. Ooh, finish. We'll leave the finish for a bit. So yeah, banana on the arrival. That freshly made bread, that doughy thing's still there. Loads of salt. Tons and tons and tons of salt. I've realised that I like heavily brined and like really pickled things in the last couple of weeks. So like the salt kick is huge to me. It's delicious. The sweetness in that doughy thing transitions into the alcohol. The alcohol does make itself present. There is a nice combo of wood influence. We know this whiskey is probably 5 to 6 years old, something like that. The woodiness, and as I talk to you now, the way it's kind of working on the finish is it's almost kind of... I feel like there's a... This makes it sound too dry, but it feels like there's a barrel like inside my mouth. I'm getting toasty little coconut notes and caramel notes. The wood is very there, and it's not overpowering, and then you've still got the spirit, which is still got some liveliness to it, and is giving you that young, spirit-driven agave añejo tequila thing. But the way the finish actually arrives, so you get all this salty, sweet contrast and the wood and all this, and then as you decide to swallow it, it just goes. That'd have been a perfect whiskey to see New Year's Eve in. The first thing you drank, perhaps. Just an explosion of coastal Campbelltown deliciousness. I'm going to hate the sentence I'm about to say, but if you are a seasoned whiskey drinker, and indeed are used to things of this strength, as I am, as many of you probably watching this are, your palate is kind of tuned to deal with it, which is all drinking whiskey really is. It's just dealing with alcohol and the ever increasing percentages. If your palate can adjust to that, and if you have, the way this thing rides out is like your favourite film or your favourite meal. There is a build of tension. There is this huge explosion at the end. I'm trying to think of like the fancy musical word for that. A crescendo. This huge crescendo of salt and sweet barrel influence. I don't get any of the sherry, but I don't really see that as a problem. Wonderful. And just goes to show, and I'm rambling on a little bit at this point, but it just goes to show, this whiskey in particular, and Batch 4, and the Kilkerran 12-year-old, which is up there somewhere, and the other whiskey which got a 10 from me this year, the Lafroig 10 Sherry Cask. Most of the whiskies I've loved this year have been younger. There's only really Bowmore 18 Fayisle, this one, which I can think of, which was like a huge age statement, which I sort of raved about. I'm pretty sure everything else has been on the younger side, in terms of Scottish whiskey anyway. And it just goes to show that age really isn't everything in this game. And I like younger whiskies, I like spirit-driven styles. Bourbon fan, kind of natural, right? And of the two, they're both exceptional. I still think batch 4 is a little bit better because the sweet note that ran through it, just with everything else, blew me away. Batch 5 is still pretty good. Gave batch 4 a 10. I'm going to give that a 9. Still exceptional whiskey. Just don't think it's as good as the batch 4 was. I'm not sure how many more times I can say that. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Next week we are back to the shop and we are filming ridiculous bottles of whiskey. Like the definition of just ridiculous. But we'll be doing some more stuff from the office again. The whiskey collection's grown, so we'll probably do another tour video. And yeah, keep an eye for some really fun stuff this year. We're hoping to get involved with a few more whiskey tubers and things. And there's a bottle of whiskey in the other room which I need to open and sort out for reviewing at some point in the next month. But yeah, Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas as well. Do you have these? Are they in your collection? Are they open? Please say they're open. Because if they're not, you are genuinely missing out. Don't spend £100 on a bottle of Macallan because it probably tastes okay in the grand scheme of things. If you can get it, spend 50 quid on this and have an extremely wonderful time. But yeah, first video for me of 2022. Whiskey of the Year will be next week, followed by some just ridiculous bottles of booze, which I've somehow managed to get a hold of. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll see you all soon, and have a great January. Where's the focus? There's the focus. It's taking me out of focus. I'll see you soon. Bye.